Alright, hello 4180. So I'm creating a video tutorial for you on video tutorials. I know it's a little confusing, um, but I wanted to create something for you that you'd have for those of you that aren't going to make it out to campus. I've already received several emails of students that can't make it today, and I know with spring break coming next week, I think it's really important to cover this information. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cover some really basic concepts around the process of creating a video tutorial, and then we'll get real practical and look at, okay, what are the tools that you actually need? What are the hardware tools? What are the software tools that you'll need? Um, and then we'll close with a link to, on the last slide, there's a link to a survey that I'm going to ask you to complete. It's just a one-question survey that will ask you to rank some of your skills based on creating video tutorials, and it'll help me put you into groups of 3 for this project. So, why are we doing video tutorials? We talked about this a little bit last week, but for those of you that weren't there last week or won't be there today, I think that traditional technical modes of technical communication are changing. So it's very unlikely that the standard print manual is going to last very much longer. You can already see this moving in lots of different sectors within subsectors within the tech industry, and this idea of um, uh, presenting content and delivering content in different ways. So you've seen this in with online manuals, online help, and you've seen this with official videos that companies put out. So for example, Madcap Flare puts out a series of videos. Adobe has a series of videos for some of their software products. So I think that video is going to be one content delivery system that's going to begin to ramp up and become quite important. Um, Videos can convey information that words and pictures can't, right? So they allow us to look at animations, at movements. It allows us to look at both visual information or visual content and audio content simultaneously. So we talked about this last week when we talked about the cognitive theory of multimedia learning, and this idea that all humans have these 2 channels, and that there's sort of a scientific way to not overload either the visual channel or the audio channel, but to sort of find that sweet spot where you've got presenting information both to the visual and the audio channel simultaneously. And often they're more convenient for the end user. So I've got a great example of a company, the car seat that I purchased for my son when he was a child, when he was a baby, had videos in lieu of a actual manual, and it was actually really helpful because the car seat had lots of different levers. It had lots of different things that were adjustable, and so actually watching someone perform the adjustments and things like that were something that was quite useful for me, and was quite conducive to the delivery of, or the video delivery format. So that's why we're doing video tutorials. I also think it's just more fun than creating another brochure or creating another newsletter or something. So hopefully you'll be able to get into groups and really just one, do a really nice job, but also to do something different, something that you might not have had a chance to create yet so far in any of your TECM classes. So for those of you that are TECM minors or are getting a certificate in TECM, you might be asking, where does video fall? Who actually creates these videos? Are jobs available for technical communicators to create video content? And the answer is yes and no. Video and other multimedia production often falls outside of just technical writing or technical communication into areas of instructional design, video production, or multimedia production. That also includes web design and development, and then also content specialists. So there are certain sort of sub-areas or sub-disciplines outside of TechCom that really focuses on video, but what I do think is that one, for those of you that are just in this class for reasons other than getting a TECM minor certificate, you want to be a good communicator in all things you do. So regardless of whether or not you're in biology, physics, computer science, whatever field you're going into, you have to be a good communicator. You have to communicate your ideas. And if you are getting a TECM minor or certificate, or are wanting to enter the field in some fashion, I think it's really important then to just be able to follow where the trends are going. So we talked earlier about this idea of video is a trend that's, I don't think, going to go away. And so being able to be on top of that and say, okay, I've got some experience in creating some video content. I have sort of a framework for creating video is going to be really important. So what's the process of creating a video tutorial? This is 7 steps. It's probably not this clean, but just the easiest sort of framework I could give you guys. One is obviously come up with the topic. So Wednesday, hopefully you'll be able to get into groups, and the first thing you should do is exchange phone numbers, exchange email addresses, and then start immediately brainstorming and nail down a topic. So what would be interesting? What would be conducive to video, right? So there's certain things like the car seat is a procedure that was very conducive to video, delivering content in a video format. So thinking through what would be conducive to video, and then just nailing down a topic. The second thing, decide on the type of video tutorial you want to do, and that's going to be dictated by your topic, but there's different kinds of tutorials. There's a screencast, and what you're watching now is sort of, an example of a screencast in that it's, you're looking at a PowerPoint slide on my screen and I'm having an audio narration. But the more traditional screencast is you can actually see the person's mouse moving around the screen. You can see where different parts of an interface are. And so usually screencasts are used to teach someone how to use some kind of software. Or teach someone some process on the computer. A second type is like a video demonstration. So this is the example we saw of, for example, the pancake cooking. It wasn't a good example, but that's an example of a video demonstration, or even changing the bike tire. So changing the bike tire was sort of a combination. It had video clips of someone actually changing a bike tire, but it also had some slides with some textual information there as well. So deciding on what type of video tutorial you want to create. Step 3, creating a storyboard for your video, and then in the next slide I'll show you or tell you what a storyboard is and show you some examples of what they are. So creating a storyboard, and that will be one of the required deliverables for this project. Number 4, write a script for your video tutorial. So I didn't write a script for this presentation because I just came up with it on the fly. So do as I say, not as I do. I think that's the saying. But I want to see a script. So that's another deliverable that's actually required to be turned in with this project is you need to write out a script for your video tutorial. And that's going to actually make your tutorial flow much better. You won't have to be searching for the words to say and things like that. So step 4 is writing a script, and then step 5 is recording the actual video and or audio. So depending on what you decide to do, you may actually record video and audio simultaneously. You might record them separately. That's going to be up to your group and what you guys decide to do, but you'll record that. And then once you have the recording, some of you may actually complete your edits in some sort of post-production software. So something like iMovie or Windows Movie Maker are known as basically timeline video editing software. And basically what it lets you do is it lets you remove parts of videos. It lets you delete parts of videos. It lets you make transitions between screens, things like that. And then finally upload to YouTube. So the way you'll hand in this thing is via YouTube, and then you'll send me a link of the video that you've created. Okay, so storyboarding. Again, this is a required deliverable, so be sure to look over the deliverables to make sure you've handed in everything. But storyboarding is basically a way of outlining your video tutorial. So it's a low fidelity prototype that consists of a series of screen sketches. So here's the, for example, 6 different quote-unquote scenes that we're going to have in our video tutorial. Or here's the 6 concepts we want to teach, or something like that. It's used to illustrate and organize ideas. It's really similar to like an outline for a written document. Right, so when you're writing an essay for your English class, or you're writing a manual for your TECM class, you've always learned that writing is a process. This idea of, okay, we need to brainstorm, and then we need to get our ideas into outline format. Right, here's the 4 main points we want to make. Here's the 5 main points we want to make. And so that's what storyboarding allows us to do. It allows us to say, instead of just starting to film video and then putting it all together at the end, saying, okay, well, here's our basic idea. We've got 4 or 5 things we want to teach the user, and they're going to be presented in these different ways. And so here's an example of just a really simple storyboard. What you see here is 5 images. Here's the 5 major scenes, and in the left column you see sort of a sketch, right? So this is the picture or the image or the thing that the user will see. And then on the right side, you see here's a description of maybe what will be narrated, maybe a description of just what's happening on the screen, a description of what you want the user to get out of this particular screen. Right? So I just wanted to show you this as an example. It's lo-fi. You don't have to create it in any graphical design software. You don't have to create it in Adobe InDesign or something like that. You can just sketch it out by hand, or you can download a template that I'll post to the course website that just has blank boxes with lines underneath them, and you can use it to create kind of sketch out what your different scenes will be, and then handwrite in the different descriptions of maybe here's what the narration will be, etc. Okay, so how do you storyboard? The first thing we do is to brainstorm, and this is after you've already chosen a topic. So after you've chosen, this is what we want to do. We want to do how to change a bicycle tire, or how to oil a bicycle chain. And after you've done that, then you want to start to brainstorm, okay, what are some ways to visually present this, right? So maybe we want to actually take video of someone removing the bicycle chain, or take some video of someone actually removing the bicycle tire. But also including, on top of that, we might also want to present some textual information to the user that actually lays out the 4 or 5 steps of doing whatever it is we want to teach them. Right? So coming up with some just basic ideas, brainstorming some basic ideas of here's the best way, or here's what we think the best way of presenting this information might be. And then once you've come up with a list of ideas, so come up with as many ideas as you can, that's the point of brainstorming. Select the ones that are the best, obviously. Right, so reconsider the project requirements, reconsider your time and resource constraints, and who are your target audiences. Right, so it might be a really awesome idea to create an animation in Flash, or create an animation in some other great piece of software, but that probably is going to take you longer than the time you have to complete this project. Right, so have an idea of what is the scope of the project, how long do we have, what skill sets do we have in our group, who's really good at what, and then choose the best ideas then based on these considerations. And then sketch each item, right? And basically what we want to do is we want to sketch each screen and describe what's going on, right? So describe the pictures that are on the screen, the images, the animations, the sound, if there's any sound. So there should be some audio narration going on, the music, the video, and the text. So here's another example of a storyboard, and this looks really similar to the template that I'll post on the website for you guys to use. And this is probably more realistic, for you to create, right? So it's just stick figures, right? So here's what's going to be in the video first. And then you can see sort of some really general description of each screen. And so you don't need to write down the entire narration for each screen. You just need to refer to, okay, here's the part of the narration or the part of the script that we'll talk about. So here's the part where we'll talk about um, introducing the topic. Here's the part where we'll talk about any questions a student might have. But you obviously, there's not enough room in a storyboard to write out the entire script. So that'll be a separate document. So one deliverable then will be this storyboard, which is probably just going to be a one-page storyboard, kind of what you see here on this slide. And then a second additional deliverable then will be your actual script. So this will be a written out script in Microsoft Word or whatever word processing software you use. And it'll give me a chance to see how much preparation did you do when you created this video. Did you actually follow the script? Were you thoughtful in creating the script? Okay, so two separate deliverables. One is the storyboard and the second is the actual script. Okay, so we've talked about storyboarding, we've talked about the general process. What will you actually need? What are some general tools that you'll need to create this thing? One is you'll need a Microsoft for audio, or a microphone for audio narration, and that's why you want to have a script so you don't make mistakes like that. But this can be like right now. I'm recording this with my internal microphone on my laptop. It's not the best quality, but I don't expect you to have the greatest quality. Video tutorial. So you'll need a microphone. It's better if you have an actual external microphone that you can plug into a computer, but an internal microphone will be fine. So that'll be based on whatever tools you have available to you with your team. Second, you'll need a video camera. So if you're going to actually record video, right? So if you're going to record the process of removing a bike chain, if you're going to record the process of some physical activity. Here's how to shoot a basketball or something like that. You'll need an actual video camera, right? So the higher quality video camera, the better, obviously. But again, I've had students use their iPhones and Android phones and can't come up with something just fine, and actually iPhones and Android phones record in HD now. So if you record something, you just need some kind of video camera if you're going to record some kind of procedure or some kind of physical action. So that's optional, so that'll depend on what kind of video tutorial you'll choose to do. You also might need some kind of screen casting software. Right? So there's software that allows you to basically take a video of your computer screen and again, I explained this earlier, but this is typically used for teaching people how to do processes on a computer, right? So like, here's how to write HTML, or here's how to use Adobe InDesign, or here's how to use Photoshop. You're going to need some kind of screencasting software. And in the next slide, you'll see actual screencasting tools, and you'll see that there are plenty that are free out there for you. Or you might need some other content delivery software, right? So so if we think back again on the changing your bike tire video that we saw, the REI video, and if you weren't there last Wednesday, Google REI, how to change a bike tire. You'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. But if we think back on that, there was multiple forms of visual display, right? There was actual video of someone taking the tire off the bike, right? So that was recorded with a video camera, obviously. But there was also, display of textual content. And so you might want to think about, maybe we want to do both of those things. And so one way to do that is to just actually create the content in something like PowerPoint or something like Microsoft Word. and then taking screenshots or image shots, creating images of that written content, and then using some sort of video editing software to combine all of those things together. So again, we talked about this earlier, but basically post-production software or video editing software allows you to insert images in between video clips and shorten or lengthen video clips and things like that. So think about, as you're brainstorming ideas of kind of how you want to create this video, all of the different tools you might need to come up with the things that you really want to create. So screencasting tools, again, what they do is they record video of your screen or a portion of your screen, right? So you can record your entire screen, or you can select just a part of your screen and just record that part. They also allow you to record audio, and so it's really good. It's a really basic delivery system for displaying both visual and audio information simultaneously. What you'll need a microphone, and you'll need some sort of screencasting software. So there's lots of free ones out there. You can Google free screencasting tools or free screencast, and you'll find tons. Here's some that I have had students use before and that I've used before that I've found to be quite easy to pick up and easy to use. One is just QuickTime Player. And if you click Create Screen Recording, basically it just records your screen, and it records your audio. So that's a really easy way to go. Cam Studio is a little more sophisticated. Jing is another one that's a little more sophisticated, and one called Free Screencast. I'm using PowerPoint right now. You can actually just use PowerPoint to record audio and PowerPoint slides. You can totally do this for your video, totally appropriate. I would advise you, though, to not just do what I'm doing here, right? So what I'm doing here is a lecture. I'm providing you with lecture screenshots of my lecture slides, and I'm narrating audio over it. That's a little different than the purpose of a video tutorial, right? And so a video tutorial should probably be more visually oriented, should include more images, video, animation if possible. And so while PowerPoint's really easy to use, and it would be totally appropriate if that's what you decide to do, I would encourage you to be a little more creative than how I'm being right now, and utilizing different types of media and multimedia if you do decide to use PowerPoint. Finally, post-production tools. So again, this idea of putting it all together. So let's say you've got 40 minutes of video that you took, and you've got a bunch of different images that you've taken, and you've got slides from your PowerPoint that you want to use as textual content in your video tutorial. How do you put all of these different things together into one single video file? Well, you use that with a video editing software or post-production software, kind of used synonymously. So what do these do? They allow you to edit multimedia files using a timeline interface, right? So this idea of like, okay, here's 20 minutes of video, or here's 5 minutes of video. How do we here's 20 minutes of video. How do we condense that down to 5 minutes, and then place them sort of in a timeline? It allows you to move around the different files. Like first we want to see a textual display of the 5 steps, and then we want to actually go through each step with some video files. The post-production tool will allow you to put that all together. What you'll need the multimedia files, right? So you'll need to shoot video, you'll need to create images or introductory slides or instructional slides, etc. And one thing I will say, I will highly encourage you to take more video than you think you'll need, right? So if you decide to do like, here's how to change a bike chain, like take 40 minutes of video doing that at different angles, at different, different speeds, etc. And then use the video editing software, the post-production tool, to then edit it down and choose the best parts of the video to create your tutorial. So more is more in this case, right? So you're never going to take or create a video tutorial in one take. Um, so take as much video as you can that's viable for you to take. Um, some free software tools for video editing. If you're on a Windows machine, there's Windows Movie Maker. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard it's really easy to use. It's not that powerful, but it's really easy to use. And it's free, so that's good. If you're on a Mac, there's iMovie. I've used it before. It's it's not that difficult to pick up, but it's a nice, easy drag and drop interface, right? So if you've got 5 video files, you can just drag them all into iMovie, and you can pick and choose what parts of the actual videos you want to include in your tutorial. AVS Video Editor or Kate's Video Toolkit, both of those I've heard are pretty decent. And the link below that you'll see, the Tech Radar link, is just a list of 9 programs that I believe, yeah, they're all free, and they're all video editing software tools. So those are 9 options for you. You can choose whatever you're most comfortable with. So keep that in mind. The last thing I want to go over, and this is of course posted on the website, as everything is always posted on the website under the projects page, but here it is for you again, just to reiterate it for you. The deliverables. So there's 4 deliverables for this project. One is the communication goals worksheet, always a deliverable for all your projects. The second one is a script. Again, a written copy of your video script, so posted or handed in as a Word document and or a PDF. The third is a storyboard. So this is a hand-drawn or computer-generated storyboard of your video. We talked about that already. If it's hand-drawn, scan it and send it in. Scan it to me and send it in. You can go to the TECM lab on the 3rd floor of the auditorium building, and they will scan it for you if you do not have a scanner. And then the 4th is the actual tutorial itself. And so the tutorial should be created into a video file and uploaded to YouTube. So you may have to compress the file. YouTube's actually pretty good about compressing the file for you, so it probably shouldn't be an issue, but you will have to create a YouTube account if someone in your group does not have a YouTube account. The grading criteria, I'm looking for a clear message, right? So if you're teaching someone how to shoot a basketball, I want to be able to shoot a basketball at the end of it. If you're teaching them how to change or oil a bike chain, I want to be able to oil a bike chain. You'll be graded on production quality. So again, I've had students shoot video on their iPhones and they got A's. I've had students shoot videos with HD cameras, really expensive video cameras, and they did not get an A. And so it's not the actual quality of the hardware or equipment that you have, it's how well did you put everything together. Did you put enough effort into actually putting it all together into one coherent video tutorial? The cognitive theory of multimedia learning principles. So we talked about this last Wednesday, but does the video adhere to the 7 principles of CTML, right? So the multimedia principle, the redundancy principle, the modality principle, spatial contiguity principle, and then there's 3 others, segmentation principle, and I can't remember the last 2. But take a look at the slides from last week. Those should be fairly easy, right? So those are, those are some pretty basic logical principles, but they should be very helpful for you for when you're creating your video tutorials. And then finally, preparation and overall quality. So preparation, how was the script that you used? Did you actually use the script and read from it? Was the script well written? Was the script well thought out? And then also, how was your storyboard? Did the storyboard make sense? Did you put some thought into it? Did you actually use the storyboard as you're creating your video tutorials? And then finally, overall quality. It's sort of more a qualitative assessment of your entire video. So how was the video? Was it good? Was it sort of good? Was it bad? And so those are the 5 grading criteria. And then finally, the last thing you'll need to do is, and I'll put this in the email that I'll send to you as well, but before class Wednesday, I need you to complete this survey, tinyurl.com/4180video. It's a list of 3 skills. Okay, one is how creative are you? The second is how good are you at video production and video editing? And the third is how good are you at writing content, writing the scripts? Okay, so those are the 3. Just rank them, right? So if you're really good at all 3, just try to pick the one that you're best at and rank that as 1. And basically what I'll do is I'll try to evenly distribute the ranks across and create teams that have people that have skills in all 3 of these areas. It's not going to be perfect, but I think it'll be better than just randomly throwing you in groups. All right, so that's my 30-minute and 52-second video for you. A little longer than I expected it to be, but that's just how I am. Enjoy, stay safe. I'll see you Wednesday.